What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be showing you how to change your stator on one of these 24 horse V-twin Briggs and Strattons. So first what we need to do is get this plastic covers off. So we're going to remove these fan bolts and then all the bolts around our cover, which those are all 3/8. These are 5/16. So we'll get all those off. You're also gonna have to take your air cleaner lid off, which just unscrews right here. So we'll get all that taken off. Okay, so our next step is going to be removing this flywheel bolt. I've got a 32mm that fits on there. I'm going to take this off with an impact. You probably shouldn't. Probably should use a breaker bar, but that's how I'm going to do it. That spun that right off. Get that off there. Your washer. Okay, now we can remove these two 1/2-inch bolts holding the fan assembly on. Now our fan should come off. Okay, this is what I got rigged up for my puller to get this flywheel off. Got 2 bolts threaded into there. Didn't have 2 of the same kind, so I had to stack some washers up. So we'll see if I can get this thing off. Okay, so that worked. Flywheel popped right off. So now I'm gonna take this puller off and I can get this flywheel off. Okay, now I can unhook my stator right here. And then I'll remove these 4 bolts with a 1/4-inch socket. And I think I might be able to sneak this wire up through here. No, I can't, so I'm gonna have to take maybe one of these off and slide that wire out. So I'll use a T30 and pull this bolt out. Now I think I can kind of lift that up, run this wire through there, and now our whole stator should come off. And there it is. So we've got the stator off. Now we'll put the new one in and reassemble. So just looking at this old one, you can kind of see just how burnt out it was. Pieces falling off of it. So here's our new one, right from Briggs and Stratton. Here's their part number. They call it an alternator. So we'll get that put back on the machine and we'll be good to go. Okay, so I got my stator over here. I can reroute this cable underneath this little cover again. Just kind of fish it under there and then slide it around into place. So you can see I got this end out here. Now Now I'm going to put my stator in place. These dowel pins should fall into these holes, so that's how you know you're all lined up. And now I can go ahead, retighten these 1/4 inch bolts, all 4 of them, and I'll put this T30 back in. I'm going to do all that by hand and not over tighten them. Okay, so I got all those bolts on the stator tightened, that T30's tightened, so now our flywheel can go back on with our woodruff key. Okay, so I blew all the grass out of this flywheel with the air compressor, and now I'll take my woodruff key, put that back in our crank. And slide my flywheel over. Now I'm going to put my washer, my nut back on. And then I'm just going to tighten that back up. Now our fan shroud can go back on. Now at this point, we can obviously plug our stator back into our voltage regulator. This can only go in one way, so yellow to yellow, pretty simple. Hook that back in until you get a nice click. Okay, and now we can put our engine cover back on. Now we can reinstall all these 3/8 bolts. Now we can get our fan cover back on and tighten up the 5/16 bolts. And then our last step is put our air cleaner in. Make sure that's seated all the way, and then obviously our cover goes back over that. And we'll tighten that down. All right, and just like that, we got our new stator in, and this should be good to go. We can fire it up now. Use a voltage tester and make sure our battery is getting voltage and charging. Thanks for watching.